Welcome to Basic Electronic, and also welcome to FAP Electronic Online Training. Today I will be giving a brief introduction on Basic Electronic, that is what you should be expecting at the end of this training, and some equipment you ought to have, which is necessary and mandatory, because this is going to be pure practical class, a little theory and more of practical. So these are the things we'll be talking about today. Now, for this Basic Electronic, this class is mainly for beginners. When I mean beginners, it's not for those who are into electronic already, but those who wants to go in but don't know what the components are, when to use the components, what are these components. Some people will come and ask me, what is this? So we say, how do they make use of this? So there are things you need to know, and you need to, as a basic, if you are going into electronics. So this is basic and is for the beginners that aspire to go into electronics and that wants to develop things, to build things, that have this creativity, that need you think of something that you can put into practice and it come up with a result. So this class is for them. So, and this class, what we'll be covering in this Basic Electronic class includes electronic components and its application as appear in any given circuit. We'll be talking about components such as transistor, resistor, diode, MOSFETs, and the rest of it, relay. Just name them. We will look into them, look at the testing, how to test these components. We'll look at when to use these components, the application of these components in any given circuit, because there are some circuits you use these components is not the same function as is being used in other circuits. So we'll look at those things. We'll also look at when to make use of these components. There are some circuits you don't need, for instance, capacitor. There are some circuits you don't need resistor. We'll also come into some design that will make us to think and to know when to use these components and when not to use those components. Now, you will make use of these components. You will use this component to build circuits. You will design some circuits such as amplifier, traffic lights, and much more. Just come up with an idea. This timer, what do they call this light? This automatic off and on light, and the rest of it. There are some things you can think of. Just think of anything and you come up with the idea, you put it into practice, and it will give you a result. So this is what we'll be looking into this basic class. This is what we'll be diving in. This is what we'll dwell more on in this Basic Electronic class. So, and we'll troubleshoot, which is one of the most important things, because not just building it, because if you build a circuit and power it comes on, you'll be happy this circuit has worked. That is not it. You must face a challenge whereby you build a circuit and the circuit did not come up. You must learn how to troubleshoot. Where will you go and test? Where will I test? What must be the problem in this circuit? There are some, this idea, you should know where are the points where you should test. If you have any challenge in a circuit, you know where to go to test. You know how to troubleshoot the circuit. So you know that these are skills you must also have in you while building any circuits, while designing anything at all. You must have this troubleshooting skill, because it's not all about building, it's all about troubleshooting. When you face with a challenge, when you come with a challenge, how do you troubleshoot it? Not when you come up with something, come across any of the circuit you build, it didn't work, you just I'm tired. No. There is this skill of troubleshooting that you must have. You will face it, because if you build a circuit and it works, don't rejoice that is all over. No, because there are some times you will come across a circuit and maybe it's just a minor thing, or just because you don't know, you don't understand that circuit, you don't even know where to go. So you should develop this skill in you. You should develop this. You should have this zeal to troubleshoot. Learn how to troubleshoot. So these are one of the things we'll be looking into: troubleshooting a circuit. And again, we will also learn how to interpret a circuit, because if you can interpret the circuit, obviously you can troubleshoot the circuit. So we must learn how to interpret the circuit. If you come across a circuit and interpret it, there are so many circuits in the internet. Google any of them. Just mention the name and put it in Google, you will see the results. But some of these circuits did not work. Doesn't mean that those circuits are bad or it's not working. No, maybe because of one or two things or one or two components is not in the right place or is not the right value. That is why it's not working. So these are the things. If you interpret the circuit, you will also have the skill to troubleshoot it when it's not working. So these are the things we'll be looking into in this basic electronics. So the things you are going to cover is basic electronics, electronic components and its application as appear in any given circuit. How to test these components, when to make use of these components to build, to design, when to make use of these components. Use these components at the end of it. You will use this component to design, to build any circuit you can think of, such as audio amplifier, traffic lights, automatic lights. There are so many of them, switch and the rest of it. Just mention them. We'll do it in this class by the grace of God. Finally, you must learn how to interpret a circuit when come across any. You must learn how know how to read any circuit, know the direction of where it is coming from and where it is being powered from. Above all, you must have the troubleshooting skill. You will learn all this in this basic electronic class. Now, that being said, I'm going to introduce you to some components or some equipment that we will be making use of, such as this. This is our project board. You can call it a project board, you can call it a simulation board, you can call it your breadboard. Just call it whatever you want to call it. But this is what we'll be demonstrating any of the circuit that we will design, and here we'll be building it. This is where we'll build some of our circuits. So, and this, you can put this together using one or two breadboard. If you cannot construct this, you can just buy one of these and make use of it. But it's not that expensive. You can come up with it, put one or two, have your terminal, have your switch to make things easy for you while building it. Above all, you have your meter, which is very, very necessary to test, because while troubleshooting, what are you using to troubleshoot is your meter. So meter is very, very, very important. You have meter of different size of meter. Smaller one, you can go to the market and get the smaller meter, which is about 1,500 or 1,000 thereabouts. But meter is very important. We also learn along the class, we'll learn how to make use of this meter, how to use them to read, because if you put your meter in the voltage and test your continuity, or you put it in the continuity and test voltage, that meter is gone. You know how to test your voltage, you know how to test your continuity, you know how to test your frequency, you know how to test your capacitor, your inductor, your resistor, your transistor. We also learn how to make use of the meter as we go along the line. So you have your soldering iron, because you have to build. At the end of each training, you will build your own projects. You will design a project. I will give you an assignment. You will build, and you will video it while testing it when it's working. So these are the things we're going into. We have a oscilloscope, but this is not mandatory, it's not necessary, but we'll be working with this as the class goes on. I will use this to see the real behavior of any circuit that we have designed and built. It will also give us more insight, more light on what is really going on in that circuit. In case your circuit is not working, you can also use this to test if your waveform is not actually what you want. This is what we are going to see. To see that it show us, is a kind of a visual to see what is really happening, the frequency, the duty cycle. So this will be using this, but it's not mandatory or necessary for you to get. And you also have your Vero board, where this is where you will put your, what they call it, your design after it is being tested on your project board. When you test it and all is working, you can transfer it and solder them. Get your battery, 9 volt battery. We have I have a 12 volt battery. that looks like this. This is a 12-volt battery, but this is not that common, but you can get your 9-volt battery, which is very common in any shop. So these are the things you will be getting for now, but the most important is your project board, your meter, your soldering iron, and your Vero board, and your 9-volt battery. These are the ones you need for now. But while we go more deep into the class, there are some things I'll be introducing you to why along the line, tell you why it is being used and the function of those things. So for now, this is what you need. So I want you to have this at the back of your mind and know what you are really going to face in the class, because it's going to be a lovely class. You're going to enjoy it at the end of the class. You will see things, come up with any idea, and we'll put it into practice. So that is it for today. Thank you. See you in the next class.